Legacy Maker, the All Sports
The
Network.
place is here and the time is now. Let's take it round for round. And people gather round. Let's see who can win the crown. All the marbles involved. Football, baseball, or golf. Who's dominating the hoops? Who's talking false or the truth? Yeah, come and show me your war face. I'll show you my war face. No holds barred, so for your sake, you better show up in good shape. Valuable information is key to your domination. So focus on preparation. Online is your reputation. Yeah, it's one-on-one. You and me, ain't no fear in me. You will see. When it comes to this, you be wearing the number 23. In debate, I hold my weight cause these sports I'm attached to it. Your legacy, get ready cause I'm gonna set a match to it. Hey. Burn 'em. Fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 legacy on fire. Fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 legacy on fire. Fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 legacy on fire.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 59 of Legacy on Fire here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network and on Thunderstorm. I don't know where the thunderstorm came from. Anyway, Legacy on Fire on Bowie Television and on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. And we got episode 59 of Legacy on Fire. With me today, my esteemed panel. First, starting right below me here on the 4-box vision that we have going on. He is a co-host of Legacy on Fire. He is our resident Atlanta Falcons expert, NFL analyst, draft expert, and NBA analyst. You name it, he knows a little bit of everything. Mr. James Brown, how you doing today, sir?
Good, man. Glad to be back. Shout out to all the people out there at Bowie Sports TV. We're back at it, ready to get it going, man.
We're in there. And to my, I guess it would be my right here. Had him on 2 weeks ago when we got our new season started of Legacy on Fire. The stats man himself, Mr. Russ Taliaferro. Stat man, how are you doing, sir? Uh-oh. The sound went from stat man. Hold on, let's see.
Can you hear me?
There you go. There he is. How you doing, stat man?
I can't complain, man. Can't complain. Working, home, graphics, that whole thing.
Sounds like fun. It's been great so far. Loving what I'm seeing from the stat man. And below him, he's been on this show multiple times. He is our resident Michigan fan. He knows the Broncos, he knows the NBA, knows a little bit of everything. One of our draft experts, Mr. Lamonte Thomas. Lamonte, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad to be back in the mix. My man JB, the one and only big homie yourself, stat man. It's been a while, so I'm excited.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and make the magic happen. We're gonna get the party started here with one sentence here on one-on-one, wrong show. Here on Legacy on Fire on Bowie Television. I'll tell you, I'm doing too much. Sentence for today. The first one that we have for you topic wise. We've had a lot of movement in the NFL coaching reigns here in the last month or since the season has ended. And our one sentence for today, best NFL head coach hire this off season. I cannot wait to hear what the guys have to say about this. We got 5 minutes on this topic. So I will start with James. James, what are your thoughts on this? Best head coaching hire this offseason?
Best head coaching hire, man. My one sentence would have to be Chargers changed the culture by bringing in Jim Harbaugh, man. I mean, for me personally, I felt he was the best coaching candidate on the market. Everywhere he's gone, he's flipped the program around, turned them into instant winners almost overnight, and he wins everywhere he goes. We saw previously with the 49ers, he took a team that was almost in the gutter, got them to the Super Bowl, and, short of, them running out of gas and him having to leave and go to Michigan, I mean, the 49ers had flipped it. They had come back, man. Everywhere he goes, he flips it. The team transforms into a winner. Did it at Stanford. He did it at Michigan. Just won the Natty. I mean, results are there. I mean, I don't know. I don't know any other way to put it. He's a culture changer.
And speaking of that, we'll swing the one sentence as you see the man showing off big national champions, the Michigan Wolverines. Lamont, what's your one sentence on the best head coaching hire this offseason? I think I know where you might go with this one.
Go blue, baby. My one sentence is going to be the Wild Wild West, and I think it's a toss up between both of those coaches. I mean, just like James said, Jim Harbaugh, man, he's won everywhere. Pair him with Justin Herbert, it seems like a good match. My only reservation for him in that job is that they got to give him time, right? Because the Chargers are basically $45 million over the cap this year. So you got to be careful because look for them to trade, one of their big players. They're going to have to probably dump a Khalil Mack or a Keenan Allen or like a Mike Williams, just so that they can, get back right where they need to be and get the talent that he needs to win there. But I definitely say he's if not him, it's got to be Antonio Pierce, man, because what he's done with the Raiders. I mean, they were 26th in defense when he took over, and at the end he was second in the league. By the time he took over the team, so I mean, he's got a new GM. I just think that both of those teams did a really good job with their hire.
I like what I hear. I like what I hear there. So the AFC West is reigning supreme here. Russ, I got to go with you here, man. Like, where do you see the best head coach and hire? What's your one sentence?
Antonio Pierce until Lamont did, but my other choice would be Mike McDonald in Seattle, because I can't remember the last time I saw a Seattle team that was not at the bottom of the league for defense. And who's been the best defense over? He's helped mold names like Matabike, Patrick Queen. God, I'm blanking on this other name. The guy they traded from Chicago. That's been the best defense in the league for the last 3 years. So there we go. Roquan Smith. I was about to say Rashawn Gary, Michigan linebacker. But yeah, that defense has been amazing, and I miss the days of the Legion of Boom in Seattle because that defense was beautiful. Maybe the younger Bobby Wagner, not the older Bobby Wagner. No disrespect, but I'm excited to see what he can do with that team because Geno Smith I think can hold him at least for another year or two until they can get a quarterback, and then once that defense figures out what McDonald had in Baltimore, that team's gonna. The NFC West is just there for the picking outside of the 49ers, so they're locked almost for a wild card every year if they can get it right.
I love it. And Russ, I agree with you 100%. I was big on the Mike McDonald train. I feel like he is the next big young head coach in the league. I thought the Commanders had an opportunity there. They asked him, and he said no. He wanted to go to Seattle. So I was hoping that it was going to happen. But
I will say, though, that what could have been the answer if he had left would have been Ben Johnson from Detroit. Because the way he's turned Jared Goff into almost a Pro Bowl quarterback and that offense, Sam Laporta and how they've forgotten that they traded TJ Hawkinson inside the division and replaced him now with Sam Laporta, Ben Johnson would have been the right answer if he had left.
Well, what a job Detroit has done. You know what I'm saying? Just what a job Detroit has done. We mocked them for going with Gibbs. That worked out. Sam Laporta, what are we doing there? Guess what? That worked out. The Detroit Lions have just worked out. They just were this close from heading to Super Bowl 58. All right, so there was our one sentence on our head coaches. And now we're going to swing over to our fire starter and get ready to talk about the big game itself, the Super Bowl. Speaking of that, we got to talk about the big game itself, the Super Bowl. It happened just a couple of days ago. We saw two teams that gave us a really good game. And we have to be real honest with you. We saw a really good game. We saw some mishaps that probably cost the 49ers the Super Bowl. And we saw a Kansas City team that kind of lost their cool in the beginning of this contest. Maybe one player in particular lost their cool in this contest, but were able to bounce back. So we're going to have 10 minutes on the clock here. Russ, I'm actually going to start with you. Give me your recap of Super Bowl 58.
I want to start off by saying that Steve Wilkes isn't the only thing that needs to change in San Francisco. Do I agree with him being fired? I don't hate it, but think Shanahan messed up with the play calling. I don't think it's a dead giveaway that, or Stevie Wonder could have seen that Christian McCaffrey was dominating the first half of that game, and then they just went completely away from the running game, and they were able to somehow push around Kansas City's line with Chris Jones on it. And then once they forgot, Chris Jones is like, oh, I'm an all-pro defensive tackle. I'll start doing things I normally do. So, like, the play calling, the way he just abandoned it in the second half just surprised the heck out of me. Excuse me. And then, Kansas City's offensive line, too, as well, started to actually remember to try and block a little bit, too, because Patrick Mahomes was under some good pressure in that first half, and it was almost a tale of day and night the way that the battle of the trenches went from the first half to the second half. But the fact that he just completely abandoned that run game after McCaffrey had that beautiful first half it's embarrassing. And I'm almost on Victor's level of saying he should go too, but I'm not there yet.
Not just yet. Lamont, we head to you next, sir. We're recapping of the Super Bowl. Your thoughts on the game overall?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things stood out to me, just like Russ said, and you kind of alluded to, is that, there's a lot of missed opportunities for the 49ers, but I think more than anything, you got to give it to the Chiefs, right? Because what I saw is that, the 49ers kind of had this demoralized feeling. I think when they muffed the punt, right, and Kansas City comes and score a touchdown, up until that point, they've been giving them everything they can handle, and the score didn't really reflect that. And when Kansas City took the lead, I think it kind of hit them and struck them as, wow, like, we've been giving them all we can handle, and they're still winning right now, right? And if anybody's ever played football, you know what that feeling's like, and it hurts. And I think they never bounced back from that. On top of that, you got the injuries, right? Greenlaw, Kittle goes back during overtime, Debo with the hamstring. It kind of started to crumble from underneath them. And I think that, as much as we say the 49ers coulda, shoulda, woulda, you still got to get your hats off to the Chiefs, for being able to keep their composure through this whole thing. And I think that, those pivotal moments, showed you where experience kicked in and took over, and, where the 49ers just fell short yet again.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. Like the injuries that the 49ers consistently get. Who did they fire the guy that's in charge of the training staff? Because I think they got the wrong guy out the door, and Wilkes. So Russ, I agree with you 1,000% here. Like, Wilkes he wasn't doing terrible at all. I mean, they had that game in the first half and they let it drift away, but they still didn't play bad defensively. I mean, they did the best they could against the Mahomes that decided to run at certain points to kind of break things open. But I think one thing that kind of blew my mind about them firing Wilkes, and these poor guy just had a bad run wherever he was gone, is that he had better numbers than DeMeco Ryans did last year, and they still let him go. How is he the problem? But I digress, and I'll go to a man who knows about the Kyle Shanahan problems, Mr. James Brown. What are your thoughts on this bad boy?
So, yeah, we'll start off. I definitely feel like Wilkes was, scapegoat in this whole case. Again, Steve Wilkes and the defense held the Kansas City Chiefs at 19 points in regulation. Almost unheard of. Now, granted, this season, Kansas City hasn't had the best offense, so that definitely helped them. But still, the fact of the matter is Steve Wilkes had the team in position to win. Steve Wilkes didn't miss a PAT. That was the kicker. Steve Wilkes didn't blow a special teams gaff. That was the guy that the ball bounced off his leg. They didn't recover. Steve Wilkes, he put the defense in positions on those 4th and 1s where Mahomes got the first down in overtime, and then again on the 3rd down where he had the defense in position and they didn't follow the gap assignments. Mahomes takes off for 15 yards up the middle. Again, all of that, you can't just lay at the feet of Steve Wilkes because, again, he also didn't fumble the ball on the opening drive of the game. That was Christian McCaffrey, and that was all top of the progress that you had made to get down the field. We've seen it time and time again. If you allow the Kansas City Chiefs to linger around, they're going to find a way to beat you. This was the 3rd game in a row that they were the underdogs. They did it in Buffalo. They did it against Baltimore. They did it again against the 49ers. We've seen if you allow them to linger and hang around, they're going to find a way to beat you. Mahomes is going to find a way. He's the magic man. He's going to find a way to make it happen. He did it again with arguably the worst offense he's had since he's arrived in Kansas City. Nobody knows who the number 1 receiver is on that team. Number 1 pass catcher is Travis Kelce. Number 1 receiver, nobody knows. I mean, and then just the calmness, the amount, just the chill they ran the offense with. I mean, even in overtime, the clock ticks under 10 seconds, and it's just like, man, they need to hurry up and get on the ball here. And
Yeah.
Mahomes just trots out to the field like, hey, guys, we got this, no problem. Rolls out to the right, hits Hardman, boom, touchdown, game over, give me my third ring. It's like, it's almost indescribable in a sense, man, just the efficiency that they run with at times that you got to give your hats off to them, man. But again, I know what it's like having Kyle in the big game, and he kind of
Sorry, man. I'm sorry.
messed it up for you. You know, he did it in Atlanta. He did it the first time around in San Francisco. He did it again. And in all 3 games, man, he's had a lead coming out of halftime. And for whatever reason, he just gets pass happy. He gets pass happy. They rely on the quarterback. And it's like Brock Purdy's definitely good, but he's not at that point in his career yet when you can win games on his arm alone.
Right.
You got to give him help.
He's not there yet. He's smart as all hell. I'll give him that. Like,
Yeah.
Brock Purdy has a good IQ. He gets muddled sometimes when he's under pressure, but that you'd expect that from a quarterback who, you know, especially was Mr. Irrelevant. But like Brock Purdy, I give him credit. He's got the IQ there. I've seen it, but he just doesn't have the arm talent just yet. I'm not going to say he's not ever going to get it, but he just doesn't have it yet. But I would also propose to the group, is this the best second half team we've ever seen in NFL history? Because I think that's a legit.
With the Chiefs? Yeah.
Like, how many times have you seen them second half overtime come back from a double-digit point down to somehow pull a magic?
I mean, hell, that's how the legacy started when he did it against Houston when they came back. What, it was like 28 points or whatever.
Yeah,
and he circled the wagons and won.
Makes no sense.
And I think the crazy part for me is like that they can win in any way, in any fashion, right? We used to think, oh, it's because they have the offense, they can come back and score offense. Well, now they have probably the second best defense in the league this year, right? And that defensive front is mean, it's nasty. The DBs can play. Like the whole team from top to bottom can go.
There's more than just Chris Jones. George Karlaftis, Nick Bolton is emerging now too as well.
McDuffie,
Sneed, all pro cornerback that's not named L'Jarius Sneed or McDuffie. It's insane. And they don't have the Honey Badger anymore too, who just ran
replace him with Justin Reed, and it's working. Man.
And it's
shout out to Spagnola.
Yeah, hey, and that during Super Bowl week, when I was at media day, the opening night. They asked Chris Jones a question, which I thought was they asked him about Spags. It was like, hey man, how you feel about Spagnola not even? He said, man, it's insane to me that they don't want this guy to be their head coach, and why he didn't get another opportunity and all that he's done for our team. But he said, that's fine. We'll keep him. We'll keep winning rings with him. That's how he felt about him. When I looked at this game for myself, I just said to myself, how calm Pat Mahomes was in those last couple of drives. He never looked panicky. There was nothing that gave me the indication that he was worried about what was about to go down. The more important thing was every time they showed a San Francisco player on the sideline during those drives when they were winning, panic in their eyes. And Pat Mahomes never had panic whatsoever. That's the part that got me. Our man Rob Johnson is chatting in. He said, James Brown, don't you disrespect Rice out of SMU. He is going to be special.
He's not there yet.
We'll see, Rob.
Rob says Kansas City took a step back and still won. There's no hope for the AFC.
Imagine this. I want to put this since Rob is here. Imagine Kansas City at the end of the first round, because you're not going to trade up from the first at that spot. No one's going to want that. Mm-hmm. Troy Franklin out of Oregon, 6'3", 190 pounds. They have someone who can go over the top, someone who can run routes over the middle, not afraid, along with Travis Kelce. And then Rashee Rice keeps continuing. Richie James keeps continuing to develop. Imagine how scary that offense is going to look next year when that defense is still just as good.
There's 5 wide receivers in the draft that they can get to do that at that spot. So,
exactly.
I mean, it's wide open.
It's just crazy. Ross says, go ahead, Lamont, my fault.
No, I was looking at it, Rob. Yeah, he does say San Fran better be glad people give them a pass. They blew that game. They did, but at the same time, I feel like we got to give Kansas City the credit. And, I mean, we talked about the preseason predictions going back into it, right? And I remember Rob saying it's not the same Kansas City team. Well, they're not the same Kansas City team, but the problem is they got better, right? Like, they got better on defense.
And they got Andy Reid.
and they got Mahomes.
And the offense didn't necessarily get better, but they still find a way. And the fact that they can win it anyway is crazy.
I think I said it on the last show when we were here. I think they're keeping Spags to be the next in line after Bieniemy's gone, depending on how long Andy Reid is there. I think that's a beautiful idea.
Shout out to our guy Joey Raymond, who's up there catching Duke. and Virginia Tech women's basketball tonight. Big matchup. Carol Lawson in there. That Virginia Tech team has been on fire. Joey, you rock it out down there at Castle Coliseum. I know it's going to be rocking in there. Hopefully the VA girl may. Well, as much as I don't like Tech, so I mean, go
Gately, she's a monster, though.
Yeah, she is. So make sure y'all check that out. And our man Rob says, I guess it's one to Russ, then the receiver out of Colorado. So I guess the big man from out of Colorado is another person to look out for.
Yep.
All right, so that is it for the fire starter. It is time for us to swing over to the main flame, where we're going to switch sports up a little bit here. Let's go to the main flame. For you, ladies and gentlemen. Now we head to the NBA. We haven't had a chance to talk NBA that much, but we are at the midway point of the NBA season. And the question at hand for the panelists, which team has been the most impressive NBA team in the first half of the season? That doesn't have to be the two wonderful teams that these players represent here, but I'm intrigued to see where this one will go from our panelists. Lamont, I'm going to start with you first. Which NBA team has been the most impressive to you to start, or to start this 2023-2024 NBA season?
Yeah, I mean, in the West, I gotta say it's got to be the Clippers. Them being 28-7. Kawhi is actually playing like most of the games, and I think that's really big for them, right? That's been their knock the past couple seasons. And you got, Harden and Russ. Everybody, they laughed them out when they made the trade for Harden. They went what was it, like 0-3, and now they're making it work, right? And they're beating teams handily. The only thing is, will they all last in the playoffs, right? All four of them are notorious for, getting hurt down the stretch. So we will see. But in the East, I got to say it's the Cavs, man. You want to talk about somebody who's been stricken with injury. Garland and Mobley missed 40 games combined, and they still been on this crazy run. They beat the Bucks twice. They came back from 10 down or double digits down to beat the Clippers. And then they beat the Kings by like 26 the other day with injuries. So it's like, I don't know, man. I think the Cavs in the East, that they're second right now, and nobody's talking about them as much.
All right, so there it is, the Clippers. I like the choice of the Clippers because if we've seen what they've been able to do, started off a little light, but man, they look good. I mean, we got 9 MVPs on the team. I mean, they gotta look good, right? you just gotta look good with the 9 MVPs on there. Well, but what did you say, Lamont?
Ty Lue, man.
He
said, "What do you think about Harden's Clippers now?" He said, "Harden's Clippers, Ty Lue's Clippers."
Yeah.
That Warriors back was impressive.
So what do you? Ty reported something earlier today from the Clippers, where they sent PJ Tucker home. I don't know how true this is, but he did post this. He said they sent PJ Tucker home, and they sent Bones Highland, VCU, stud home. And I hate this for Bones Highland because he was doing so well when he was in Denver, and they traded him here. He started off well, and then he's disappeared inside of this lineup with all of these superstars.
He's still a monster. I just think that, he's has to find his usage on the team. But I mean, if there ever a time is going to be for him to be needed, it's going to be down the stretch, right? Because they're going to be worn thin, and that's when your bench comes out. So I don't know what the problem is there, but they can definitely use him. That's for sure.
Yeah, bring him to Miami. I promise you we can figure something out.
They
James,
against Denver.
James, we head to you next, sir.
For me, man, I'm gonna stick in the West, but I'm gonna go with a different team. I like the Oklahoma City Thunder, man. Young, up-and-coming team. And we've seen it over the last couple of seasons, man. The Thunder have been building consistently. They've been drafting well. It helps that they have all those draft picks in the war chest. But they've been hitting on a lot of different guys, man. And we're seeing it with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren, man. We're seeing what they're able to do together. And it kind of makes me, like, a little sad that the fact that he got injured last season and wasn't able to play, because imagine if they'd have had this under their belt last season with that experience, not to mention them making the playoffs last year. They get another year's experience of that, and then they get to add in the pieces they have. Look out for the Thunder, man. They're going to be here for a while. They're young, up and coming. And I honestly feel like what helps them, they're playing in a Western Conference division where I know LT mentioned the Clippers, but we see it usually every year. Like, injury strikes the Clippers at some point in time. It's unfortunate for them, but injuries have done the Clippers in the last few seasons, man. And I think it's going to end up getting them again. Not to mention you've added James Harden to your roster, and we've seen in the playoffs he's just not the same guy. And I feel like if you're a team like like the Thunder, this could finally be your opportunity to kind of clip some of those well-known teams and establish yourself in the West. Not to mention, I mean, Minnesota's got Ant, but I feel like Oklahoma City's got something for him, man. And I hope I see it. I hope we get to see it. I hope I'm right about it. But I like the Thunder, man. Thunder pride.
Go figure that you just trade everybody away, and you pick up 9,000 draft picks, and somehow you're still this good. You've got to be, you got to be. If you're an Oklahoma City fan, you got to be happy. That team is crazy young. They're crazy good, and you know what? The West going to have a problem on their hand. Russ, we head to you. What team has impressed you so far? So far, we've had two Western Conference team. Is it somebody from the East?
It is. I'm gonna show the East some love, and I'll give a shout out to Lamonte because he said my first team, the Cavs, because I think the Cavs are just playing beautifully. I love Jared Allen in the center for them. Darius Garland, God bless him with his injuries, and just the way that Mitchell's been able to carry that team. But the team I'm gonna say has been the most surprising to me is actually the New York Knicks, especially after the RJ Barrett trade for Anunoby. I didn't think that was going to work out that well for him, and I hope Anunoby comes back soon and comes back well. But just the way the team is, that team's been able to stick around and be a top 4 team in the East with how much hitters they got to go through with Boston, with Milwaukee, and the gas that they've been kind of going through themselves over the last 2-3 weeks. I can't remember the last time I've seen probably like 23 years a consistently top half of the Eastern League Knicks team in the league, and it just feels weird and different, but I kind of like it.
It is kind of weird and different to see them on top of things. The two teams that we had in the picture that no one mentioned, which I'm not surprised completely. Well, Boston's been pretty good for the last couple of years, so I don't know how impressed you are. Minnesota, on the other hand, to me, I feel like Minnesota at some point is going to find a way to disappoint. I just don't know what it is. I can't call it. I don't know what to tell you. And maybe they're gonna prove me wrong. But there's something about that Minnesota team, and as great as Ant has been, and the comparisons to D Wade, it's beautiful. But I don't know. It's just Rudy Gobert, man. I see him on the team, and there's something about it that just says, well, I don't know. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, for me, man, Ant's got heart. I love his game. I think he's definitely the man. Gobert, I definitely still feel like he's a little bit of offensive liability come playoff time. And then Cat ain't got enough dog for me, bro. I mean, he's a big that plays so small, yo. Yes. And it's like, bro, toughen up. Right. Go down there. Get on the post. Get on the block. Don't.
I'm gonna get my reservations for all of these teams. I'm gonna try to be quick.
Okay.
Because Timberwolves, he hit it right on the head, right? It's the offense. Ant's gonna do his thing, but you got to play big. And I think Gobert and Towns like to play outside in, and it's just not gonna work when it comes to half court, right? Because that's what the playoffs is about. Speaking of which, I go to the Knicks. I love the Knicks. I love everything they're doing. I love everything that they did. My reservation for them, Thibodeau, right? Because when it comes to playing both ways, and he's historically known for messing up that offensive talent. He did it with the Bulls. They had enough. They couldn't get over the hump with LeBron. He did it with the Timberwolves. They had a whole lot. Couldn't get over the hump. Defense was great. Offensive rotations, trash. And then now it takes me to the Thunder, right? I love what they're doing, but I feel like all that offense, they giving up a lot of points on defense, right? Their games will score 130 and give up 122. And I'm like, in the playoffs, that's going to kill you because you're not going to get those calls. You talked about Harden and how he disappears. Well, the reason why he does that is because he doesn't get the calls in the regular season.
Right.
OKC plays the exact same way, right? Like they'll get to the line a whole bunch of times a game. I love Shy, but you're not going to get all those calls in the playoffs, right? In a half-court setting. And I think that's going to be the difference. But a year or two, okay, she's going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, it sounds a little scary. I'm going to go around real quick. We got about a minute here, and we'll finish up on this before we head to put out the fire. But is there a team in your guys' eyes that we have to watch out for in the second half? With a minute 30 left, Russ, is there a team that you say, okay, watch out for this team in the second half?
I, in my limited NBA knowledge, because it pales comparison to these two guys, I'd always say watch out for Denver. I don't care if they're top 4, top 5, 6, 7, or 8. They have someone, and I'll say this till the cows come home, who should have won MVP last year over Joel Embiid. I don't care what you say. Go away. I don't care. But Jokic is the best center in the league for the last 4 or 5 years, and I'll fight that. I'll fight someone about that. I don't care. And the way they turned Aaron Gordon around into be like a primetime player at the 4 after the embarrassment he had in Orlando. Come on now. Let's give them the champs credit where credit is due.
I like it. James, you?
For me, man, I mean, it's a team we all know. I think Golden State could be dangerous down the stretch, man. They're the 10th seed in the West, and we know if they get into the tournament, they got the experience to lean on. They know they got the heart of the champion, man. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little magic down the stretch, especially if Steph stays healthy. I feel like they might turn the corner, man. We'll see.
Yeah,
I mean, can't out though.
Hey, I tell you what. Well, I'll go ahead. Lamar, you go first, and then I'll say my last piece.
Mine is also in the West. I feel like the Kings are a team you got to look out for, right? Because now Keegan Murray, you got Malik Monk. They've been balling, and we want to talk about big man play. Sabonis is 6-0 against Jokic, AD, and Karl-Anthony Towns, right now.
Dang, killing it.
He scores. He gets a triple-double every time he plays those guys. So he's let them know that if there is a guy who can neutralize these big-time players, these bigs, it is Sabonis. So I say look out for the Kings.
Watch out for the Kings. I don't even know where to go on this one. I probably say I like the Kings pick. I really do like the Kings pick. I think I'm gonna stick with the Kings pick. I like that. I think Fox and the crew are gonna find ways to get things going there in the West. They had a good showing last year. I think that they've got that first taste of the playoffs. I think things are gonna go in the right favor. And to James's point, you see the Golden State Warriors starting to click a little bit now. It's not there yet, but it's there. And Steph has been killing them the last couple. He's had 7 threes, I believe, in the last 3 games. And I think he broke like an NBA record that's never been done. 4 games. So he's never been record. It's never been done until our man Steph Curry's done it. The most pure, amazing shooter in the history. So that's the team you don't want to get hot. If they decide to get hot, then there's going to be problems in the West because they have the experience and they're right. It's going to look like how Mahomes looked in the Super Bowl. Calm, collected, like, oh, well, we've been here before. I got 4 of these things. Why not? So that's what you don't want in the West. Keep them out at all costs if you're in the West. All right, everybody, that was it for the main flame. And now we are going to finish this one up. It is time to put out the fire.
Fire, fire, burn on. Fire, 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 burn on. Fire, 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 legacy on fire.
All right, it's time to put out the fire. Now, before we put out the fire, I do want to give a quick shout out one more time to our guy, Rob Johnson. Now, with this tonight, y'all make sure y'all check out episode 39 tonight of the Rob Johnson Sports Show. He's got something to say about Kyrie. And I can only imagine what he's going to say about Kyrie. So that'll be interesting. And that's a team right there that's kind of like weird. Dallas has been a little weird, too.
I think he's talking about Kyle Shanahan, boss.
Is that Kyle? Or maybe he's talking about Kyle Shanahan. So if it's Kyle Shanahan, Kyle, I thought I saw Kyrie. I got excited.
I probably got something for both of them anyway.
I apologize. So, yes, make sure y'all check out the Rob Johnson Sports Show tonight. He's got something to say about Kyle Shanahan. My apologies on there, but we can't wait to see that. And real quick, our man, one of my friends from Get Smart University, my man Joseph, Boston looks like they have a legit shot at winning a championship this year. It does look that way, but can they pull it off?
It looked that way last year, though.
It did look that way last year.
For 3-4 years now.
Until Jaylen Brown starts playing like he's worth that contract, I'm never going to believe they can win.
Listen, it's not Jaylen Brown.
Or does Tatum need more dog? Does Tatum need more dog in him?
They're gonna need more big men, and they're gonna need more coaching. I'm gonna leave it at that. Those 2 things have been keeping them from getting over the hump.
How big is Porzingis going to have to be in the playoffs? I mean, because he's been a great player, or he's been a solid NBA player for years, but he's never, I guess, lived up to the potential of that first season that he had in New York. And he's had these like glimpses, like, okay, look at Porzingis, but it never has really taking that step. This is his chance, I think, because people are going to be focusing on the other 2. Porzingis is really good. If
He's gonna have to go and shoot a couple threes because you got Embiid, Giannis, all those big guys in the East. You're gonna have to come with it.
Yep. So they've got to figure it out. They've got to figure it out. And so yeah, Rob said it is it was Kyle Shanahan, not Kyrie. So y'all make sure y'all listen to Rob. Let people have it. So now we go to put out the fire. I'm gonna let the gentleman decide who wants to go first. Who wants to go first and put out the fire?
I went last time.
What you said? You Russ?
I went first last time.
Russ said no.
I mean, it don't matter. LT can go. I can go. I mean, I'm ready.
You know what? Look, you gonna go? You gonna go, LT?
I can go.
LT's gonna go.
Let him go.
Go ahead and put out the fire, sir.
All right, man. On the topic of the big game, a lot of people are saying they're tired of seeing the Chiefs. A lot of people are, talking about how it's rigged and all that stuff. And who knows? I mean, that's well above us. But I will say this. In the words of one of the best to do what he did, Ric Flair said, in order to be the man, you got to beat the man. I feel like that is true when it comes to the NFL. Holla at me. Listen, they can win in any way, right? If anybody knows anything about me, I'm not going to go into it. I would love to see the Kansas City Chiefs lose. I would love it. But I have to give them their credit. And until somebody comes along and they do it in whatever way is possible. People said they hated Floyd the way he boxed, but guess what? Ain't nobody beat him. 50 men have tried, 50 men have lost. So, I mean, my thing is all the complaining until somebody steps up. And this is kind of what Brady was talking about. The competition has lost his luster. Come and don't complain. Come and do it. Somebody come and
beat him. Go beat them. You don't want them to go beat them. If you don't want them to get all the glory, go beat them. And there was opportunities, and it just didn't happen. The Eagles had their chance last year. The 49ers had their chance this year, and it just hasn't happened. Okay? The greatness is there. This is one thing I want to throw in before we move to James, because James, you're next. Before we move on to James, I want to say this about Pat, we've all gotten tired. We've in our generation, we've seen some nice streaks of championships. We've seen the Spurs do their thing. We've seen the Patriots do their thing. We've seen the Lakers do their thing. The Blackhawks. We've seen stretches of teams have really good success. And what comes from that is hate from fans because they get tired of seeing somebody win. But I used to be that way about Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul. I was like, I can't stand Kobe Bryant. It wasn't until he retired that I truly appreciate his greatness. So I will say this to y'all. Appreciate the greatness while it's there. Because you can be able to say, I saw Pat Mahomes and how great he was during that time frame. James, we head to you next, brother. Time for you to put out the fire.
Okay, so for me, I'm going back to the world of football, but, more centered towards draft season coming up. And a lot of teams, seriously, man, got to ask themselves, is Caleb Williams the answer for them? I mean, I know Heisman Trophy winner the season before. He's got the stats. He's got the numbers. But does he have the mindset? Is he the guy that you need in your locker room to lead a group of men? And I feel like now, honestly, given his recent actions, man, we got to question that. I mean, anytime you're doing a photo shoot and you end up in a dress as part of the photo shoot, it's like, bro, are you here to play football? Are you here to be a fashion icon? Because if you try to do both, you can't do that at the quarterback position. And it's going to be difficult, man. And so I feel like for a lot of teams coming up this season, you're going to have to sit down and take a hard look at him to see, is this the guy that I want leading my team? Is this the guy that I want to invest all this draft capital in to have him lead the squad? I get the fingernails, all that, bro, all fine and dandy. But if you're not winning, all those questions are going to come up. There's more stuff you have to answer. There's more stuff the organization have to deal with. Not to mention, you're supposed to be the quarterback. You're supposed to be the leader. It's kind of hard to do that in the locker room if you're in a dress, dog.
I see you. Now, I will say this. Rob's funny. Rob says people that don't like winners because they're losers. People don't like winners because they're losers. That's funny, Rob. And he says, is Caleb Williams the answer? You're going to feel weird about this in 10 years.
I mean, not really. Bro. All right, so going off Rob's, we've seen Matt Leinart come out of USC. We saw Carson Palmer come out of USC. We saw Mark Sanchez come out of USC. Now we're seeing Caleb Williams come out of USC. No USC quarterback has ever done it well in the NFL. None of them have ever won championships, despite being the man in college, despite leading all those great teams as Trojans. None of them have come to the NFL and replicated that same success. The closest one was Carson Palmer, And his best
He had
year,
Reggie
the
Bush.
Steelers took him out in the playoffs, and he injured his knee, was never the same really again. He had another good stretch in Arizona, but he never got the job done. No West Coast quarterback has gotten the job done. Even if we look at now with Mahomes, he came from Texas Tech. Nobody knew who the heck he was. USC quarterbacks traditionally do not translate. It's almost like Alabama quarterbacks. They don't translate to the NFL.
Well, I will say
maybe Williams is the exception to the rule.
Right.
But I mean, hey, it's been a long-standing rule, and nobody's done it yet.
All I'm
Now,
gonna say
Rob's
is
got an answer to that one, cool, but we ain't seen it.
Well, Rob says, "What about Ohio State?" And he says,
Okay,
CJ
the only good one was CJ Stroud. What about
there you
Justin
go.
Fields?
There you
What about
go.
Troy
But it's still early though with CJ, so we got things to see.
CJ
Not
had
only
an
that, but
amazing year.
He was great. He was great.
I want to get Rob on camera because I said CJ Stroud and he walked off that camera on draft day, and I'm gonna wait.
I remember that.
No, listen, Rob, I respect you so much I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till I get you, but just know I'm gonna get you.
I'm coming to get you.
I told you. And the Carolina Panthers will be in a different spot right now if they drafted.
Oh, I love what Carolina did. Carolina got that right.
I bet you
Carolina did an awesome job.
They did an awesome job. Now, I will say this though. I do like the fact. I do like the coach that they brought in though. I think he's got a good offensive mind. He's done 2 good jobs so far with quarterbacks. 2 guys that were projects, or they were considered has-beens, or maybe not the guys they were going to be, and he's turned them around. So it could be good things for Bryce Young, but we'll see. I will say this though: Washington, do not trade up to get Caleb Williams. You stay in your spot. If he's there, if you stay in your spot, if he's there, then you grab him, but don't you move up. You better keep all of that good draft capital you got. Russ, it's time to go to you, sir. Go put out the fire.
I think I got to say this because it's been on my mind. Carolina needs to hope that their owner doesn't act like just an irresponsible jackass next time. But shout out to Pete, another USC quarterback. Lamonte mentioned him, so I feel like I have to talk about it, and I was going to talk about it anyway. Wrestling. You mentioned Ric Flair. I'm going to think about wrestling. I'm going to talk about it. Last time we were here, I expressed hope for the WrestleMania 40 card. 2 weeks later, a lot has changed.
Man, you took mine, Russ. Go ahead, continue.
I'm about to say, I know you was going to talk about it.
Don't worry, I'm going to add on to it.
I had to bring it up after that press conference last year because historically, over the last couple of years, WWE does not like press conferences. They have not been good. I cannot remember the last time I've been this excited for an actual WrestleMania card. And I feel like it's a weird coincidence that this is the first one ever without a McMahon in any sort of power in the company. And it feels like a nice breath of fresh air. We're getting heel rock, Hollywood rock for the first time in 20 years. And I cannot wait. I love it. I'm so excited for this card.
I'm going to sit here and tell you. Now, obviously, Russ, you know I was there. And the energy was stupid. It was so amazing. I went into it just like, I will see what happens here. And I didn't expect all of that. I didn't expect the slap. I got to actually hear The Rock say what he said, and a lot of people had to hear afterwards. And when he said it, I was like, "Oh!" But
there's uncensored audio out there.
They finally got the uncensored audio. But I will say this: what I like what they're doing, and even though if it had to be a quote unquote pivot, and it wasn't a work from the beginning, we're getting Hollywood rock. And I think what we're about to see in the next, month and a half is going to be greatness on the wrestling front. So for all you Cody crybabies out there, just know if you smell what The Rock is cooking, yes, sir. Yeah. I'm hyped. You already know how I feel.
Get the mark out for the first time in a long time for wrestling.
I'm excited. All right, I'm sorry, y'all.
I'm gonna hear that all night, that whole weekend too. So I'm already used to it.
You already know. Well, look, that is it, everybody, here for Legacy on Fire. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. Our Bowie TV listeners, of course, our Legacy Maker Sports Network listeners. We truly appreciate all that your support throughout. Make sure y'all go and check Rob Johnson out tonight, episode 39. Rob is gonna let Kyle Shanahan have it. We got sports ballology coming out this weekend. I actually get to be a special guest with Joey on there. That should be fun. Monster Minutes is returning. The NASCAR season is about to get underway. That means Becca Cottingham Quimby is ready to rock and roll. So make sure y'all get ready for that. And then, of course, the draft show. Oh, she's coming. We've got about a month and a half, and we'll be back to bring you some of that greatness on the draft show. But before we get out of here, Lamont, is there anything you'd like to say, brother?
I just appreciate being on with you guys. Oh, fun fact real quick. We didn't talk about this, all that 49ers talk. Do you know in the 2017 draft, they were looking for a quarterback. They ended up drafting like Beathers in the late rounds. The second pick they had, they gave to the Bears, and they drafted Mitch Trubisky with that second pick. Just think if they would have got one Patrick Mahomes, who was also in that draft, 10th overall by the Kansas City Chiefs.
And
that's all.
You know what the crazy thing about that? They said one of the draft picks ended up being Brock Purdy. That's the crazy thing about that entire trade. So it all kind of circled around.
Here's another crazy tidbit. The Chiefs, when they traded up, I think they traded with Buffalo to get Mahomes, and now Mahomes is their nemesis. So, that's enough. If Buffalo took Mahomes, I mean, maybe
maybe eighth in that draft, drafted 8th overall was one CMC by the Carolina Panthers, who ended up on that 49ers team.
Crazy.
Crazier is who picked off Mahomes in that game. That kid, Jair Brown, he's from New Jersey.
I love you, Russ. That's great. Russ, is there anything that you'd like to say before we get out of here?
I think I said it, but that was a good time.
James, before we go, anything you want to say, brother?
Hey, man, always good to be with the guys talking sports. Shout out to everybody that gave us a listen tonight, tuned in. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and, be back next week to see y'all again.
All right, we'll be back next week. Joey Raymond is going to join us next week. He'll be on with us next week, and we're excited to bring you another episode. It'll be episode 60 of Legacy on Fire here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network and on Bowie Television. Thank you all for tuning in. We're going to be coming fast and furious at you for the next couple of months here on Legacy on Fire. We're glad to be back. It's been an absolute honor. For James, Lamont, and Russ, I'm Darrell Owens. We'll see you all next time. Peace.